live streaming, Guthrie? Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Connie Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Alliance of Iowa. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for using your voice and standing up for democracy. Thank you for amplifying the message that voting rights to protect and ensure a strong democracy and our rights. A special welcome to our national staff who have joined us in Iowa, Reverend Paul Brandeis Rauschenbusch, Guthrie Graves Fitzsimmons, Adam Friedman, and Catherine Henderson, who are culminating the election year work of our national office with a whirlwind bus tour with stops in Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and ending in Pennsylvania, many pivotal states in the 2024 election. We are here achieving democracy together, joined by a handful of our partner organizations and leaders, emphasizing the importance of voting and spotlighting the critical religious freedom issues that are at stake in our democracy, at stake in our state, and at stake in this election. Challenging Christian nationalism at every turn is central to our mission and our work. Voting is the balm to heal the harm that has been caused by extreme organizations and elected officials in Iowa and across the nation with a Christian nationalist agenda. Christian nationalism has impacted our state and harmed many of its people. Because of the Christian nationalist agenda that continues to spread, the rights of Iowans are on the ballot this year. Reproductive freedom is on the ballot. The right to a safe and legal abortion is on the ballot. LGBTQ rights are on the ballot. Racial justice such as diversity, equity, and inclusion is on the ballot. Strong public schools available for all Iowa children are on the ballot, and so much more. A week out from the election, it is important to be mindful that voting is a right and a responsibility in a strong democracy. We achieve democracy when we work together as diverse communities, ensuring every voter has the opportunity to vote and the rights of every person are protected. It is my honor to introduce our speakers for today. Reverend Paul Brandeis Rauschenbusch, President and CEO of Interfaith Alliance. The Right Reverend Betsy Monett, Bishop of the Episcopal Church of Iowa. Sally Frank, a member of the Jewish community in Des Moines and board chair of Interfaith Alliance of Iowa Action Fund. Senator Sarah Trone Garriott, clergy person in the Evangelical Church in America. Maisie Stilwell, Director of Public Affairs, Planned Parenthood Advocates of Iowa. And Keenan Crow, Director of Policy and Advocacy of One Iowa. And I'll bring to the podium Reverend Rauschenbusch.
Well, thank you very, very much. And we are here on early voting day. This is a national day to celebrate early voting, and we want to encourage everyone to get out there and vote. Make your voice heard. We are calling this tour that, as Connie mentioned, we're going across the country. The Vote is Sacred tour. This is a reference to the beloved Representative John Lewis, who said the vote is precious, almost sacred. You must use it. And we believe that. We believe the vote is sacred because we believe each person has a sacred right to make their voice be heard in our democracy. This is a crucial moment in our democracy when some are saying that their voice deserves to be heard louder and more clearly than others. And we refute that. We refute the intentions of Christian nationalism to say our religion is more important than your religion. Our beliefs are more important than your beliefs. That is absolute nonsense, and it's the most un-American thing that could be said today. We are bringing, yeah, you can clap to that, amen. Right. We are here to absolutely say that everybody's voice matters, everybody's vote matters, and we are refuting the idea that one religion has a privileged position. We are refuting the idea of theocracy and embracing and celebrating the idea of a democracy, which is we the people. and e pluribus unum, out of many, one. We are celebrating. I'm so honored to be with the speakers here today and all the people who have showed up today. You represent the hope of America, that all voices will be heard, that more people will be included, not less, that we will not let anyone flatten the arc of the universe that is bending towards justice. We encourage everyone to get out and vote. And I also want to say today that there are those who are they are trafficking in intimidation of voters. There have been people who have been burning ballots across the country. That isn't by design. People are meant to be intimidated. We're not going to let them be intimidated. People, religious folks across the country, are showing up at polling stations, protecting voters, protecting poll workers who are being attacked. This is the most un-American thing you can imagine. And yet diverse religious people are showing up and saying no to intimidation, no to suppression, and yes to a celebration of our democracy. And so today we are honored to be here in wonderful Des Moines. I'm a Wisconsin boy, and I can say how wonderful Des Moines is. How about that? So, and again, a huge thanks to the whole team at Interfaith Alliance of Iowa. We value that partnership so much, and so again, I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm very honored to welcome the next speaker, the bishop, to say some words.
Good morning. My name is Betsy Bonnet, and I'm the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Iowa, which encompasses the entire state. And I'm so glad to be with you on this gorgeous and very windy day. So friends, I came out here this morning because of my faith in God and my faith in God's Son, Jesus, who said that the first commandment was to love God, and the second commandment was to love your neighbor. Love God, love your neighbor. When we love God, we love God's creation. That is to say, everything that is around us and every single human being, because every human being is created in the image of God and is God's beloved child. When we love our neighbor, we treat God's beloved children with dignity and respect. We recognize that we are all part of God's beloved family and that each one of us is worthy of justice and freedom and peace. Friends, loving our neighbor means that we believe that our neighbor has the right to make their voice heard in an election just as much as we do. And loving our neighbor requires us to vote for the candidates and the policies and the issues that most embody the love that God has for all of creation. The presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, Michael Curry, tells us that the principle upon which Christians must vote is the principle, does this look like love of neighbor?
A mighty wind is blowing in this session.
That'll be the wind of the Holy Spirit, my friends.
We go.
My siblings, there's a lot going on in Iowa that does not look like love of neighbor. Taking away the rights of Iowans to access the health care that they need is not love of neighbor. Legalizing discrimination against LGBTQ people, people of color, or any other historically undervalued children of God in the name of religious freedom is not love of neighbor. Banning books in schools and libraries across this state is not love of neighbor. And white supremacy, hiding under the name of Christian nationalism, is not love of neighbor. People of all faiths and of no faith need to come together in the streets, in the State House, and over the next 8 days, at the ballot box to vote on the principle of the love of our neighbor. When we work together, every voter has the opportunity to make their voice heard. When we work together, every voter can make democracy strong. When we work together, our democracy will protect the rights and freedoms of all of God's children. That is what love of neighbor looks like. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sally Frank. I'm the chair of the Interfaith Alliance of Iowa Action Fund, and I'm an active member of the Jewish community. And I'm here to talk with you about the dangers of Christian nationalism. There are those who would like to tell us that this country was founded as a Christian nation, yet we know that the people who came to the United States in the early years, those at least who came voluntarily, came because they sought religious freedom. Many came because they were persecuted in their home countries. And these were Christians who were persecuting other Christians. And yes, they came here and started to persecute other Christians who didn't believe their views, at least in the Massachusetts colony. But eventually, they realized that for a country to be strong, it needs all its people. And it needs to not say, have wars. We're all over Europe, we've seen religious wars be over religion. Again, one Christian against another, but religious wars. Nowadays we see religious wars, one Muslim against another Muslim. This is what the founders were afraid of. It is why they instituted the First Amendment, which guarantees the right to the free exercise of religion, but bans the establishment of religion. And as an example of this founding view, I thought I would read you a part of a letter that George Washington wrote to the president of Touro Synagogue in 1790. The president of Touro Synagogue did what Jews did all over the world, which was when a new leader came into town, came into a power, they'd have to ask, can we stay or are you going to kick us out? Do we have religious freedom here or do we have to go on the move again? And essentially that's what the president of Touro Synagogue asked Washington. And I'm going to read you a short excerpt. All possess alike liberty of conscience and immunities of citizenship. It is now no longer that toleration is spoken of, as if it were the indulgence of one class of people, that another enjoyed the exercise of their inherent natural rights. For happily, the government of the United States, which gives bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance. And near the conclusion he writes, may the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. We find that in danger today. Today we have politicians who try to say we're the only right people. We're going to institute a particular form of Christianity on the whole country. I was especially upset, moved, disturbed when I watched the debate on the abortion ban, 6-week abortion ban, and a state senator commented about when her religion says life begins, and stated that any religion that did not agree with her, quote, isn't worth implementing, end quote. Isn't worth implementing. That goes directly against the First Amendment. We are not implementing religion here. We are not establishing religion here. And at every point, when one religion tries to take over, all other religions are in danger. There's a level of bigotry that's encouraged. We've heard other speakers talk about the range of issues we've had here in terms of book bans, limits to reproductive rights, limits to personal health autonomy, attacks on the LGBTQ community. At every stage, there are attempts to limit our rights and to impose a particular form of Christianity on us all. The only way we can be safe from this is to be vigilant, is to protest, and most of all at this season is to vote. If you believe in your rights and other people's rights, you've got to go and vote. If you don't, then we have no say on what's going to happen. And all of these issues are on the ballot. Thank you. 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。
Woo! 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 .
。 .
Woo! Sarah Trone-Garriott. I'm state senator for the Western Des Moines Metro. I am a Lutheran pastor, and in my day job, I work with the diverse religious communities, the Des Moines Metro, as well as folks who are finding their values and their beliefs in non-religious groundings. And what I hear when I go door to door, when I'm out in the community, is that the people are longing for a government that works for the good of them, for the good of all people. People are seeking elected leaders who listen, who show up, who care, who work hard for all of the people in their districts. The people want to know that they are heard, that their voice is valued, that it matters. Their lives are important to the people who represent them. And so we have an opportunity. Each and every one of us has an opportunity to make sure that our neighbors are able to exercise their voice as part of the democratic process. Some of our neighbors need encouragement to know that it matters that they speak out, that their vote is a voice that makes a difference in this process. So many elections on the ballot are won by a handful of votes. And it matters that our neighbors show up and cast their ballots and make their voice heard. And so I encourage all who gather here today, all who are out in the community, to know that they have the power to encourage their neighbors, to give them hope, to remind them that their lives, their perspectives, their voice, it really matters and it makes a difference. With their voice being part of the process, our government works so much better for the people of this state. Democracy is us, and by working together, we can make sure that our democracy stays strong and vibrant, that it truly serves the will of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Maisie Stillwell. I'm the Director of Public Affairs with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Iowa. Make no mistake, abortion is on the ballot in this election. We know that Iowans are fed up with the reckless and dangerous policies of anti-choice politicians in this state. We currently live in a state with a near total abortion ban, meaning that most Iowans are forced out of state to find abortion care. Iowans are ready and motivated to vote out the extremists who chomped at the bit to insert themselves into their constituents' exam rooms, ignoring a rapidly growing 64% of Iowans who demand safe and legal access to abortion. 59% of Iowans and 69% of women in this state oppose the near total abortion ban that we now live under. Iowans are angry, Iowans are tired, and Iowans are scared. But let's be crystal clear. Iowans are also ready and motivated in this election to vote out the lawmakers who play politics with their lives and their health care. The only way to overturn this dangerous ban and restore our rights is by electing reproductive health care champions up and down the ballot. Iowa does not allow citizen-led ballot initiatives like other states that have taken the issue of abortion rights to voters directly. It's instead the leaders that we elect to Iowa's State House and Senate right behind us today who have the ability to put these measures on the ballot and take them to voters. That's why who we elect now matters in the fight to restore Iowans' freedom to make personal healthcare decisions for generations to come. Regardless of our personal beliefs, it is clear that Iowans agree that politicians are never more qualified than patients and their providers to make personal healthcare decisions. Iowans want to live in a state where we have the freedom to make our own decisions and shape our own lives. We need elected leaders who will restore and protect our rights and freedoms, not strip them from us. We should control our bodies and our futures, but that's not our reality. The only way to change our reality is at the ballot box. Women in states across the country that have adopted strict abortion bans, like Iowa's near total abortion ban, have been forced to rush decisions about their pregnancies so that they can access essential health care that they need without being forced out of state. The realities that we have heard about in other states that banned abortion before Iowa is now a reality in Iowa. Patients call Planned Parenthood health centers desperate to receive essential health care. Many already have families and face barriers to receiving care, transportation, childcare, time off of work. This isn't the Iowa that we know and love. Iowans support their neighbors. We lift up those in need and we ask how we can help. And we trust people to make their own private medical decisions without the interference of politicians. This moment has energized Iowans who have the power in 1 week to reclaim their rights from the power-hungry politicians who have continually dismissed the will of their constituents. Iowa cannot afford more of this extremist agenda. We need reproductive health care champions who will vote for a better Iowa, one in which people can access the health care they need without political interference. By electing reproductive health care champions, we can stop further attacks against Iowans' access to essential, life-saving health care. We have the chance to reimagine healthcare in Iowa and build a more equitable system that provides all Iowans with the care they so desperately need. That possibility gives us hope that we can make a difference. And that starts with this election. We know there is a path forward to restoring Iowans' reproductive rights and healthcare. It will take time, but we're in this for the long haul. Together, we can make a difference. We must talk to our family, our friends, and our neighbors to let them know that abortion and reproductive freedom is on the ballot in Iowa. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Keenan Crow here. I'm the Director of Policy and Advocacy at One Iowa, which is a statewide LGBTQ advocacy organization. And unfortunately, in this position, I've had a front row seat to see what happens when Christian nationalism becomes in charge of the conversation. I've seen the shift from coalitions arising naturally out of values, around issues, to coalitions arising purely from what letter comes after your name on your voter registration. I have seen a shift from constructive dialogue about outcomes to discussions about personalities and conspiracies. Most alarmingly, I've seen the shift from prioritizing policies that try to improve the lives of all Iowans to policies that target intentionally already marginalized Iowans to make their lives worse. This is a dangerous path to tread, and I fear for both our state and our country as we attempt to correct course and get back to what actually matters. This is a nonpartisan event, and honestly, that makes sense because the health of our democracy should be a nonpartisan issue. And make no mistake, anyone on the other side of this issue isn't merely being partisan, they are being un-American. Our democracy, our republic, only works if we are all bought into the ideas that, among other things, we are all equal under the law, that everyone's voice matters, that the rights of any minority group should never be voted on by the majority. But there is a rising tide of those who do not agree with those values and who are not part of this project with us. They've been seduced by demagogues and charlatans who promise that they'll be better off if they throw their neighbors under the bus to save themselves. But I'm here to tell you today that the only way we make it out of this, the only way, is if we stand together with our neighbors. Our strength as a country, as a state, and a community has always been in working together and figuring out how we can best cooperate, not in figuring out who we can step on to get to the top. I come to you today in the hope that we can get back to our shared values, back to figuring out how we can raise up our communities together as a whole, rather than spending our time thinking about how we can expel those who we find undeserving. That is our challenge. And I challenge you today to think about not just next week, but how you're going to help your neighbors the week after. Not just how you're going to vote, which you absolutely should, but how you're going to use the skills you already have to help others. Not just your grand vision of how the federal government should operate, but the vision of what small change you can make tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. Because what the folks who don't share our democratic values ultimately want for you is to feel scared, overwhelmed, and paralyzed. The only antidotes here are hope, moral clarity, and action. I hope you'll join me in taking whatever actions you can in the coming weeks to bring your communities together rather than trying to tear them apart. Thank you.
Thank you so much to each of our speakers. I am so thankful for your leadership and for your words and for everybody who showed up today. Thank you so much. Democracy matters, voting matters, and making sure that everybody's rights are protected matters. So thank you. If the press have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Because Iowa is amazing, but I'll let Paul.
Because Iowa is amazing. We just heard it. Well, I think one of the reasons we came here is because we have such good friends here. And we are, part of this tour is to show up for our friends in local communities. Interfaith Alliance is a national organization. We're located in Washington, D.C., but we have interfaith alliances across the country. Iowa is one of the strongest and has been fighting for Iowans for close to 25, 26 years, 28 years. This is amazing. And so for us, this is an opportunity to show up and recognize amazing work that's happening on the ground, and also to stand up with folks who might feel like no one's watching, no one's paying attention, no one is isolation and silos are not the way democracy is meant to work. And so what we wanted to do is connect you with all the great work that's happening in Nebraska and all the great work that's happening in Wisconsin, where people from diverse religious traditions are standing up in this moment and saying no to theocracy, yes to democracy, and we're going to show up together in the long run. I loved what you said about the long run. This is about the long run. And so we're showing up with Iowa because we love you, and also because we want to recognize the importance of all local work as how it is in relationship with national work, but absolutely every bit as important. Any other questions for sorry.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for using your voice and standing up for our democracy, for voting, and for people's rights. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
We'll feel from you no matter what.
If you wanted to ask around if there's anyone who wants an on-camera
I have not been out there.
Do you need any on-camera interviews, sir?
I think I got it.